Oh, that didn't work too well. Shh. Ladies and gentlemen, the chair will yield to the chairman of the Republican National Committee for the purpose of explaining the rules.
All right, well, this is a rule that affects only about 4 states. First of all the states are bound by 16A2, and the secretary is required to read the bound vote. And so that's why in a few states there was a difference. In this particular case, the state rule under the 16F filing says that the candidates that are submitted under the that run in the election, if they drop out, the bound vote gets reallocated to the only candidate left that's running. So you understand? So under the rule, he is correct that that is how Alaska originally voted. However, since there was only one candidate that was left running, the bound vote gets shifted under the state party rule, and that's why the secretary read it that way. So that's how the rules are interpreted. I hope you saw tonight that we allowed for other votes of other candidates that were running to be read. I know that was different than Tampa, and I hope that you all appreciated that. In any event, have a great night.
Pursuant to Rule 37B and the chair's earlier announcement, the votes of the state of Alaska shall be recorded as 28 votes Trump. This result differs from the results of the poll delivered to the secretary, but is necessary to reflect the presidential preference vote or direct election of delegates as required under the rules. The chair is prepared to announce the results. The following candidates received the following votes: 1,725 Trump, 475 Cruz, 120 Kasich, 114 Rubio, 7 Carson, 3 Bush, 2 Paul. Accordingly, the chair announces that Donald J. Trump, having received a majority of these votes entitled to be cast at the convention, has been selected as the Republican Party nominee for President of the United States. The chair is pleased to appoint the following to serve as escort committee for Donald J. Trump: Ivanka Trump, Donald Trump Jr., Eric Trump, Tiffany Trump, Barron Trump.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to the Majority Leader of the United States Senate, the Honorable Mitch McConnell of Kentucky.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for us to determine our nominee for the office of Vice President of the United States. The chair states that in compliance with Rule 40B, the chair has been furnished with evidence that a majority of the delegates from each of 8 or more states severally support the candidate who will be presented for the nomination for Vice President of the United States. The chair would like to remind delegates of the provisions of Rule 40A, which provide that, in part, if there is only one candidate for nomination for Vice President of the United States who has demonstrated the support required by paragraph B of this rule, a motion to nominate for such office by acclamation shall be in order, and no calling of the roll with respect to such office shall be required. At this time, the chair states that he has been furnished with evidence that there is only one candidate for nomination for the office of Vice President who has demonstrated the support required under Rule 40B of the Rules of the Convention. Delegates and alternates, the chair recognizes and is pleased to introduce the Honorable Eric Holcomb, Lieutenant Governor from the state of Indiana. Let's give him a warm welcome.
Mr. Chairman, delegates, and guests of the 2016 Republican National Convention, tonight I have the high honor of placing into nomination the name of a man I have known for decades, and a man America is just getting to know. I already know his head. I already know where his heart is. In Indiana, some know Mike Pence as congressman. Others know him as governor. But back home, most call him Mike. As you just heard, I serve as Mike's lieutenant governor, but more importantly, he and Karen are two of my dearest friends. Together we've stood side by side as our state has shown the world how common sense, conservative leadership can balance budgets while at the same time cutting taxes every single year he's been in office. And while at the same time making record investments in public education and increasing our children's test scores. In Indiana, under Mike Pence, more Hoosiers are working now than at any time in our 200-year history. And our tech sector is experiencing explosive record growth. In Indiana, Mike Pence doesn't just cut red tape, he eliminates it. And that is one reason why Indiana is recognized as having the best business climate in the Midwest and the 5th best business climate in America. It is exactly that type of leadership our country is lacking, and exactly the type of leadership Americans will send to the White House this fall with Donald Trump and Mike Pence. These two leaders are not just prepared to win, they are prepared to govern. Mike likes to say that Indiana is a state that works. And tonight, America is calling on him to expand that success to make America work again. Mr. Chairman, on behalf of the great state of Indiana, I proudly nominate a great man of integrity, a proven conservative, an incredible husband and father, and one of my best friends. I nominate the great governor of Indiana, Mike Pence, as the Republican Party's 2016 candidate for Vice President of the United States of America. Thank you. Thank you.
Delegates and alternates, pursuant to Rule 40, a motion to nominate by acclamation is in order. The chair recognizes our good friend from Indiana, Senator Dan Coates.
Mr. Chairman, it is a great honor to move that Michael R. Pence from the state of Indiana be nominated by acclamation by this Republican National Convention as its candidate for the office of Vice President of the United States of America.
Without objection, the previous question is ordered. The question is on the motion that the Honorable Michael R. Pence be nominated by acclamation. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed, no. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it, and the motion is without objection. The motion to reconsider is laid upon the table. Delegates and alternates, ladies and gentlemen, I'm proud to announce that Governor Michael Pence has the overwhelming support of this convention to be the next Vice President of the United States. The chair appoints the following to serve as the escort committee for Governor Pence: Michael Pence, Charlotte Pence, and Audrey Pence.
Pursuant to Rule 40D of the Rules of the Republican Party, I formally declare Donald J. Trump and Michael R. Pence the Republican nominees for President and Vice President of these United States.
Please welcome Jay Shepard, National Committee Man of Vermont.
I am a Catholic. I am pro-life. I fight for religious freedom. I am a Republican. And by the grace of God, I am an American. So let us pray. Thank you, O Lord, for the gifts that you provide us, not just because we deserve them, but solely by your grace and mercy. We pray in thanksgiving for members of our armed services and to their families who sacrifice greatly to ensure our sacred freedom that we so often take for granted, so that we can continue to live in the land of the free. We will be forever grateful that you have blessed this nation with great men and women that stand on the front lines of law enforcement every day. We are thankful for those who continue to fight for religious freedom. You have chosen us, O Lord, as we gather here today to make a difference in the world. We ask that you guide us to discern what difference we can make, to recognize what is right and what is wrong. We ask for the courage and conviction to do what's right in the face of any adversity. Most of all, help us recognize that we are here through the mercy and grace of you, our Creator, and that as Americans, we are blessed and should be thankful every day for the gifts you have provided to us. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen.
Delegates and alternates, please welcome co-chairman of the Republican National Committee, Sharon Day.
Good evening. Good evening, and what an honor it is to be with all of you this evening. And especially to be here in Cleveland, where we have nominated the individual that is going to make America great again, Donald J. Trump. As I look around this room at the different delegations, I understand the responsibility each of us have. We need Ohio, we need Pennsylvania, we need my home state of Florida, and we need Wisconsin. We need each and every state to deliver and make sure that on election day that we are going to save America. Because just consider for a minute, what would America look like with a Hillary Clinton as president? Our military would have a commander-in-chief who has already lied to the families of American soldiers on how and why they died in Benghazi. People who create jobs would continue to be punished. Our small businesses would suffer, and industries would be destroyed as our fellow Americans all across this country continue to lose their jobs. Honesty, integrity, and ethics. They would now be taught in history class, because if crooked Hillary is elected, that's what would happen to the values in this country. They would become history. Hillary Clinton wants you to vote for her simply because she says that she will make history. Well, Mrs. Clinton, we don't call that history. We call that hypocrisy. She repeatedly plays the gender card. In fact, she boasts, "Deal me in." Well, Mrs. Clinton, consider yourself dealt in, because as a senator, you paid women less than the men in your office. As Secretary of State, you lied to the mothers, the daughters, and the sisters of men who gave their life for our country in combat. As head of a foundation, you accepted tens of millions of dollars from foreign countries who enslave women and who treat them as second-class citizens. As a mother and as a grandmother, you have no problem supporting policies that terminate the life of the unborn. And as First Lady, you viciously attacked the character of women who were sexually abused at the hands of your husband. Now, don't get me wrong. I want to see a woman be president one day. I want my granddaughters to see a woman as president one day. But I stand before you and I say, not that woman, not Hillary Clinton, not today, not now, not ever. Because America deserves a president they can trust. They deserve a president that is worthy of being a commander-in-chief. We deserve a president who tells the truth, a president who doesn't look at the cameras and directly lies to the American people about our fallen soldiers. There is no question that Donald J. Trump would be better and is better for my children, for my grandchildren, and for this great country than Hillary Clinton could ever be. As a citizen activist that our founding fathers expected us to be, let's join together in the fight to save our country for the next generation. Let's stand together as the daughters and the sons of liberty, and let's fight the oppressive government of Hillary Clinton by electing Donald J. Trump, the next president of the greatest country in the world. God bless. God bless our proud military men, women, and their families. May God bless each of you. And may God always bless this, our special place we call our home. Godspeed on our journey together. Let's make history. Thank you. God bless. Thank you.
Please join me in welcoming American businessman and president of the Ultimate Fighting Championship Mixed Martial Arts Organization, Dana White.
What's up, GOP? Good evening, everyone. My name is Dana White. I am the president of the Ultimate Fighting Championship. Thank you. I'm sure most of you are wondering, what are you doing here? I am not a politician. I am a fight promoter. But I was blown away and honored to be invited here tonight. And I wanted to show up and tell you about my friend, Donald Trump, the Donald Trump that I know. In 2001, my partners and I bought the UFC, and it was basically considered a blood sport. State Athletic Commission didn't support us. Arenas around the world refused to host our events. Nobody took us seriously. Nobody. Except Donald Trump. Donald was the first guy that recognized the potential that we saw in the UFC and encouraged us to build our business. He hosted our first 2 events at his venue. He dealt with us personally. He got in the trenches with us, and he made a deal that worked for everyone. On top of that, he showed up for the fight on Saturday night and sat in the front row. Yeah, he's that guy. He shows up. Donald championed the UFC before it was popular, before it grew into a successful business, and I will always be grateful, so grateful to him for standing with with us in those early days. So tonight, I stand with Donald Trump. Let me tell you 3 things that I respect about this man. First, Donald has great business instincts. He supports businesses of all sizes. He'll make it possible for them to grow and succeed, which is the backbone of a strong economy. Second, Donald is a hard worker. This guy's gonna get up there, he's gonna roll up his sleeves. He will work with people, and he will put in the time to get things done. Third, for over 15 years, Donald Trump has been a loyal and supportive friend. And I know that if I needed Donald, he would be there for me, just like he was when I first met him. He's one of these guys that sometimes he'll pick up the phone and he'll call me and say, hey, good luck with the fights tonight. I'm going to be watching, or whatever it is that we might have going on. And he always reaches out to me when something has happened in my career. Back in 2011, we signed this huge network television deal with Fox, and they did a big write-up in the New York Times. Donald took that paper and he wrote on the front and said, "Congratulations, Dana. I always knew you were going to do it." Just for the record, Donald has nothing to do with my business. We're not in business together. His interest in me and my business are personal. And in my opinion, you can really tell a person's true character when they're happy for somebody else's success, okay? And I think that sense of loyalty and commitment will translate into how he will run this country. And let's be honest, folks, we need somebody who believes in this country, we need somebody who's proud of this country, and who will fight for this country. Let me tell you something. I've been in the fight business my whole life. I know fighters. Ladies and gentlemen, Donald Trump is a fighter, and I know he will fight for this country. Thank you very much. Have a great evening.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hail from the great state of Arkansas. We know from personal experience that we don't need Hillary Clinton in the White House. I have been in the public arena during the administration of 6 presidents, from federal prosecutor under President Reagan to Congress, the DEA, and then Homeland Security after 9/11. I have seen America at its best, and I have seen America put to the test. There has never been a more urgent time for leadership. America's strength and boldness are desperately needed on the world stage, and a new energy is demanded at home to build our economy and to defeat terrorism. Strength, boldness, and new energy are not words that describe Hillary Clinton. This is the same Hillary we knew in Arkansas and later in Washington for so many years. Hillary always wanted more government, and her dreams have only gotten bigger. Regretfully, she offers more of the same uncertain leadership in fighting terrorism, the same failed top-down approach to health care, where Washington tells the states what to do, the same nanny state regulations that strangle the economic strength of America. If you like the last 8 years, then Hillary will give you double for your trouble. But good things are happening in the states. In Arkansas, we are creating jobs and leading in computer science education. Unemployment is the lowest in the recorded history of Arkansas, and we have a $177 million surplus. We can do better, though, for our country at the national level. We need a president that values the role of the states, will destroy ISIS, and jumpstart our economy. Ladies and gentlemen, experience matters. On the campaign trail, Hillary Clinton emphasized her experience. Yes, experience matters, but judgment matters more. Despite her experience, Hillary Clinton's poor decisions have produced bad results. Just think about it. Hillary Clinton's radical attempts at so-called reform of the nation's healthcare system would have been more destructive than even Obamacare has been. Hillary Clinton's bad judgment, as you heard last night, left us 4 dead Americans in Benghazi. It resulted in instability in Egypt, Syria, and Libya, the rise of ISIS, the resurgence of Russia, and emboldened North Korea, inappropriate ties between foreign governments and the Clinton Foundation, and a more dangerous world. When it comes to being commander-in-chief, we don't want a president who, in the words of the FBI, is extremely careless in the handling of classified material. Donald Trump represents a different kind of leadership. He is exactly the kind of transparent, straight-talking leader America needs right now. A Hillary Clinton presidency will endanger our national security. It will be the wrong direction for our economy and will undermine the innovation coming from the states. A Trump presidency will be about the art of the possible. Donald Trump is the right leader for our time. Mike Pence is the right leader for our time. Thank you. God bless America.
Please welcome the Attorney General of Arkansas, Leslie Rutledge.
Good evening. Sometimes Hillary Clinton speaks with a New York accent. Sometimes an Arkansas accent. But y'all, this is what a real Arkansas woman sounds like. Hillary may not know where she's from, but Arkansans know exactly who she is. Arkansans know who I am. Raised on a cattle farm, married to a row crop farmer. And I'm a Christian, pro-life, gun-carrying, conservative woman. And I'm the first female and first Republican elected Attorney General of Arkansas. The very same office Bill Clinton held when those two launched their careers of corruption. Hillary says when they left the White House, they were poor. And while they've made millions, she's still poor in all the ways that really count. Poor judgment, poor policies, and poor decisions. Hillary is a lawyer, but she acts like the law doesn't apply to her. Absolutely no good could have come from merging her public service with her private interest, much less her private server. What we know about her scandals is bad. What we don't know may be worse. Why did Bill's speaking fees skyrocket as soon as she became Secretary of State? Why did donors to the Clinton Foundation receive favorable treatment from the State Department? Deception and dishonesty are all second nature to Hillary. As my daddy likes to say, Hillary will lie even when the truth would serve her better. I broke a glass ceiling. I know the importance of doing so, but a historical milestone need not come at the expense of America. Unlike Hillary, Donald Trump knows that women and men are not single-issue voters. We care about jobs, the economy, and national security. I know this race will shape the Supreme Court for generations. Do we want the late Antonin Scalia to be replaced by a liberal activist judge? Donald Trump will nominate conservative justices who will uphold the Constitution support the rule of law, and rein in out of control federal bureaucrats. Frankly, Hillary needs to go to her own house and not the White House. And she can take Ruth Bader Ginsburg with her. My fellow Americans, it's time to update your resumes because Donald Trump is growing jobs, and with a Trump presidency, America will be closed to overregulation and open for business. God bless each and every one of you, and God bless America. Thank you.
Please welcome former United States Attorney General Michael Mukasey.
You know, over the years, Hillary Clinton has done a lot of things and said a lot of things to show why she should not be President of the United States. But how she treated and what she did with government secrets when she was Secretary of State, and what she said about what she did both before and after she got caught, exquisitely sums up the case against her presidency. She sent and received secret and top secret and beyond top secret information and emails on an unsecure private email system instead of on the secure government system. And she did it without authorization. She said, falsely, that there was no classified information. She said, falsely, that what she did was authorized. And what else did she say? She said, and these are her words, when we travel to sensitive places like Russia, we often received warnings from department security officials to leave our BlackBerries, laptops, anything that communicated with the outside world on the plane with their batteries removed to prevent foreign intelligence services from compromising them. And then she added, falsely, even in friendly settings, we conducted business under secret security precautions, taking care when and how we read secret material and used our technology. That's from her book, which is entitled, ironically, Hard Choices. Hard choices indeed. In reality, we now know that she chose to use her private email overseas in countries that were hostile to the United States and that have sophisticated hacking capability. Although her system was so remarkably primitive, the FBI couldn't figure out whether or not it had been hacked. We do know that the emails of people she communicated with were hacked. So I guess about her emails, we're soon going to hear the same infamous question that we heard about the death of 4 Americans in Benghazi. What difference at this point does it make? Well, Secretary Clinton, it makes a big difference. The United States is the only country in the world that was founded based not on blood or land, but based on a law, the Constitution. Hillary Clinton is running for an office, the presidency, whose powers and duties are defined by that law. The most important power that that law gives the president is to be Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces to protect the country. That law imposes really only one substantive duty on the president, and that is, as written in the Constitution, to take care that the laws be faithfully executed. That law, the Constitution, specifically requires that before taking up those powers and duties, the President swear to an oath, and it's the only oath that's set forth in the Constitution, to faithfully execute the office and to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution. Hillary Clinton took a similar oath before she became Secretary of State. You know what that adds up to? What that adds up to is that Hillary Clinton is asking the people of this country, the people of the United States, to make her the first president in history to take the constitutional oath of office after already having violated it. The message from this convention to everyone watching these proceedings, and the message to her, should be loud, clear, and short. No way, Hillary. No way on earth. Thank you very much.
Please welcome from New York, businessman Andy Willis.
Thank you. It's great to be here. It's been a lot of fun the last few days, watching the media speculate about me. Who's Andy West, they all asked. Someone said I was Batman. I said, that's Adam West, dummy. Some of these reporters need to get a life. Look, you want to know who Andy West is? I'll tell you. I'm living proof that the American dream is real. I grew up in Brooklyn and started a business in my mother's backyard when I was 21 years old. Standard waterproofing. We restore building exteriors. Today we have 140 employees. Not as big as Mr. Trump's company, but still pretty good, right? I'm also the trustee of Teamster Local 522 because, like Donald Trump and Mike Pence, I believe that working men and women still matter in this country, and we have to look out for them. After 8 years of President Obama, I don't see the American dream like I did when I was starting out. All I see is too many people out of work, too many jobs shipped overseas, and too many politicians who just don't care. It's a mess. Who's going to fix it? Hillary Clinton? After 30 years in public life, her only accomplishment is beating the rap every time she breaks the law. Donald Trump is a builder. He's a leader who will bring us together. He will make America work again so we can believe again. I'm not a big, important person. I'm just a regular guy. I love my family. I love my country. I lived a great life. But I'm not going to be around forever, and neither will you be. This November, we get to decide what kind of world we leave behind. When I'm gone, I want my children and your children and our grandchildren to be able to live the American dream like I have. And the only way we keep the American dream alive is by electing Donald Trump president. Thank you. God bless Donald Trump. God bless America.
Please welcome the senator from Wisconsin, Ron Johnson.
Ladies and gentlemen, what difference at this point does it make? I am the guy that got under her skin and provoked that infamous response from Hillary Clinton by asking a pretty simple question. Why didn't you just pick up the phone and call the survivors? But instead of doing that, she hatched her cover-up story and repeatedly lied to the American people. She even lied to the surviving family members of Americans' fallen heroes. Think about that for a moment. She looked those family members right in the eye, and then she lied. And of course, Hillary's cold, calculated lying continues. If we can't trust her to tell us the truth, how can we possibly trust her to lead America? So let me tell you and Hillary Clinton what difference it does make when America's leaders cannot be trusted and when our commander-in-chief fails miserably by employing a strategy of peace through withdrawal instead of achieving peace through strength. It made a difference to the young Yazidi woman I met who was captured and brutalized by ISIS barbarians, the joy of life hauntingly absent in her eyes. It made a difference to the travelers passing through airports in Brussels, in Istanbul, who just wanted to get home to their family and friends. It made a difference to the ordinary Americans sharing holiday cheer at a Christmas party in San Bernardino. It made a difference to the young men and women dancing on a summer night at a club in Orlando. And it made a difference to the families watching fireworks at a celebration of freedom in Nice. These are just a few of the examples of Islamic terrorists. Let me repeat that. Radical Islamic terrorists slaughtering and brutalizing their innocent victims. So the question is, when will America actually confront this terrible reality? We certainly won't if Democrats win in November. In Wisconsin, I'm running against Russ Feingold, a man who, even after 9/11, was the only senator to vote against giving law enforcement the tools they need to help stop international terror. During his 18-year Senate career, he also voted against authorizing our military 11 separate times. Now he's asking Wisconsinites to give him a 4th term, just as Hillary Clinton is asking America to give her Obama's 3rd term. The world is simply too dangerous to elect either of them. Instead, America needs strong leadership. Leaders who will jumpstart our economy, secure our borders, strengthen our military, and accomplish the goal that President Obama set out over 22 months ago. We must defeat ISIS and then remain fully committed to destroying Islamic terrorists wherever they hide. It doesn't have to be like this. We shouldn't have to live in fear. But if we want to change that reality, we must understand exactly what is at stake. This is a fight for freedom. This is not somebody else's fight. This is our fight, and it is a fight that we absolutely must win. Donald Trump and Mike Pence understand that these must be America's top priorities. They'll be strong leaders working with Republicans in the House and the Senate to achieve a goal that can unite us all: a safe, a prosperous, and secure America. Our future hangs in the balance. We must unify, work tirelessly, and together save this great nation. So God bless your efforts, and God bless America. Thank you.
I want to talk to you tonight about a very personal freedom, your right to protect your life. Because as much as we don't like to think about it, we live in dangerous times. We're worried, and we have reason to be, because our government has failed to keep us safe. You have to be able to protect yourself and your family, and that's what the Second Amendment is all about. Imagine a young mother at home with her baby when a violent predator kicks the door in. He's a 3-time loser who was released from prison early because some politician wanted to show their compassion. What's she going to do? She'll dial 911 and pray. The police will do their best to get there quickly, but their average response time is 11 minutes. So the question is, should she be able to defend herself with a firearm in her own home? Of course. Friends, that question is on the ballot in November. And here's why. 8 years ago, the Supreme Court ruled that we have a fundamental individual right to protect ourselves and our families with a firearm in our own homes. They should have ruled it 9-0, but the Second Amendment survived by just one vote. After Justice Scalia's death, that vote is gone. In case you're wondering where Hillary Clinton stands, she said, quote, "The Supreme Court is wrong on the Second Amendment." Think about that. All the Supreme Court said was that you have the right to protect your life in your own home, but Hillary says they're wrong. It's that simple. A Hillary Clinton Supreme Court means your right to own a firearm is gone. Make no mistake, this election is not about the next 4 years. It's about the next 40 years. So voting for Hillary Clinton or not voting is simply not an option. What's so outrageous is that for the rest of her life, Hillary Clinton will never even think about dialing 911. For the past 30 years, she hasn't taken a walk, a nap, or a bathroom break without a good guy with a gun there to protect her. So it's easy for her to dismiss a right that she will never have to use. But for the rest of us, the choice to own a firearm is ours to make. In America, there cannot be one set of rules for the Clintons and another set for us. But here's Hillary's problem. American women are the fastest growing group of gun owners. Millions own firearms. Millions and millions more are thinking about it. It's not Hillary Clinton who says women should have that choice. It's Donald Trump. Donald Trump is a life member of the National Rifle Association. So are his sons, Don and Eric, because we're the largest and oldest civil rights organization in America. We fight for the rights of all Americans, regardless of race, religion, or sexual orientation, because the right to protect your life is the most precious right you have. Friends, the 5 million men and women of the NRA will fight without apology for your right to protect your life. But we are on the cusp. We are on the cusp of losing this great American freedom, and with it, this great nation. The only way we save it, is by electing Donald Trump the next president of the United States. Thank you and God bless you.
Thank you. I appreciate this incredible opportunity to speak to you about a man I greatly admire, a man I found to be gracious, generous, and inspiring. I must begin, however, by saying there is a great deal of irony that I'm speaking to you tonight because when I earned my tour card 16 years ago, I was told there's only 2 things you don't talk about in public: faith and politics. Well, tonight, I'm prepared to violate both those admonitions as I stand before you at the Republican National Convention as a Christian woman. I believe that God's timing is perfect, and He puts people in our lives to help make us a positive impact on those around us and to help us achieve our goals. One of those people, for me, is Donald Trump. The first time I played golf with him in 2005, I shared two things I had told countless CEOs, billionaires, and politicians before him. One, I had a dream to open up my own Boys and Girls Club. And two, I was deeply frustrated about being treated differently as a woman, overlooked, and underpaid in business. These words previously fell on deaf, albeit well-intentioned ears, but that day was different. They finally fell on ears that cared enough to take action. I'm proud to tell you that with Donald's help, I opened up the Natalie Golbis Boys and Girls Club. And in response to my frustrations about being treated unfairly as a woman, he adamantly rejected the notion and instead offered me a simple idea that changed my life forever. Never fear challenging the status quo. He encouraged me to think of myself not as a female athlete, but as a business person. In everything you do, be fearless, he reminded me. Be fearless. As an athlete, fearlessness came natural to me. But as a businesswoman, I faced challenges that weren't always on a level playing field. Even today, I face challenges, and Donald remains a consistent voice, encouraging me to stand up to gender injustices and to lean in to any professional challenge that comes my way. I hope you take these principles about generosity and fearlessness and that they can have a similar impact for you in your life like they've had in mine. Ronald Reagan said, "Status quo is Latin for the mess we're in." And while I believe that this is the greatest time to be a woman in the greatest country in the history of the world, I have no delusions that there isn't a mess to clean up. And we desperately need someone to clean up that mess. That person is Donald Trump. And if one's history of fearlessness and challenging the status quo is an indicator for meaningful change, then Donald Trump is the person to bring that to America. Thank you.
The party seal, I mean what we did, getting the party's nomination, I'll never forget it. It's something I will never, ever forget. A little over 1 year ago, I announced my candidacy for president, and with your vote today, this stage of the presidential process has come to a close. Together we've achieved historic results with the largest vote total in the history of the Republican Party. This is a year, but we have to go all the way. I'm so proud to be your nominee for President of the United States. I look forward to sharing my thoughts with you on Thursday night on how we build a brighter and more hopeful future for all Americans. It's an honor to run on a ticket with Governor Mike Pence, who is an incredible man and will make a great, great vice president. I'll be with him in Cleveland tomorrow night, and we'll be together again on Thursday night. And by the way, we are going to win the state of Ohio. And also, of course, we're going to win the presidency and bring real change and leadership back to Washington. This is going to be a leadership, by the way, that puts the American people first. We're going to bring back our jobs. We're going to rebuild our depleted military and take care of our great veterans. We're going to have strong borders. We're going to get rid of ISIS. and we're going to restore law and order. We have to restore, and quickly, law and order, among many, and just so many other things. And I'll be discussing with that Thursday night. We'll be talking all about it. But together, most importantly, we are going to make America great again. Have a fantastic evening. I'll see you tomorrow night. I'll see you on Thursday night, and we will win in November. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell.
Ladies and gentlemen, you know, I've been around a while, and I've been around the Clintons more than anybody should ever have to be. A couple of years ago, Bill and Hillary camped out in my state telling anyone who'd listen why they ought to vote against me. Tonight, I'm here to return the favor. I'm a patient man. As a young child in the South, I was struck with polio and forced to stay off my feet for 2 years. That experience taught me an abiding gratitude for my parents. And it also taught me how to wait, which comes in handy when you're the leader of the U.S. Senate. More than anything, though, my job has taught me the value of trust, how to distinguish between people who are in this to serve others and people who are in it for themselves. I'm here to tell you Hillary Clinton will say anything, do anything, and be anything to get elected president, and we cannot allow it. The American people are tired of hearing about the bounty of government while the cost of caring for a family or meeting daily expenses grows out of reach. Over the past few years, they've seen government abuse their office and get rewarded for it. They've seen the middle class actually shrink. And in the midst of this, they've raised a very simple complaint. Who's looking out for us? It's not Hillary. I've had my differences with Barack Obama, but I'll give him credit for this. At least he was upfront about his plans to move America to the far left. To the far left. Not Hillary. She lied about her emails. She lied about her server. She lied about Benghazi. She even lied about sniper fire. Why, even she lied about why her parents named her Hillary. So I ask you a simple question. At a moment when so many feel betrayed by their government, why in the world would Democrats put forward such a candidate? Hillary has changed her positions on so many times, it's impossible to tell where the conviction ends and the ambition begins. In 2010, she said Iran could enrich uranium. In 2014, she said she's always argued against it. Once a backer of the Keystone Pipeline, last year she opposed it. She used to be against sanctuary cities, then she claimed she was for them, and now we're not sure where she is. Friends, not since Baghdad Bob has there been a public figure with such a tortured relationship with the truth. Fortunately, there's a clear choice before us, and it's not Hillary. You know what the next 4 years will look like with Hillary, and you know that if Hillary is president, we'll continue to slide, distracted by the scandals that follow the Clintons like flies. 2 years ago, voters delivered a clear verdict on the Obama years by sending a freshman class of rock star Republicans to the Senate and delivering us a majority that I promised to make you proud of. We'd never hesitate to confront the president, but we'd also do the hard work of tackling urgent problems head on. And we delivered on that promise. We put Obamacare repeal on the president's desk. He vetoed it. Donald Trump would sign it. We passed a bill to finally build the Keystone Pipeline. Obama vetoed it. Donald Trump would sign it. We passed a bill to defund Planned Parenthood. Obama vetoed it. Donald Trump would sign it. And on that sad day when we lost Justice Scalia, I made another pledge that Obama would not fill this seat. That honor will go to Donald Trump next year. So with Donald Trump in the White House, Senate Republicans will build on the work we've done and pass more bills into law than any Senate in years. We've already passed the first major education reform in more than a decade and ended Common Core. We made the first significant reforms to Social Security in 3 decades. We passed a crucial cybersecurity bill. We imposed sanctions on North Korea. We passed the first major highway bill in more than a decade. We passed a bill to combat the scourge of human trafficking. And just last week, we passed the first major law aimed at confronting the heartbreaking explosion of heroin and opioid abuse. So my friends, keep the Senate in Republican hands and we'll continue this work. And the remarkable public servants that I'm proud to lead in the Senate will not let you down. But put Hillary Clinton in the White House, and I promise you this, she will double down on the cynical approach that Senate Democrats seem to revel in these days. Here's what I mean. As we sit here tonight, a terrifying mosquito-borne illness threatens expectant mothers and their babies along our southern coast. And just last week, Clinton Democrats in the Senate blocked a bill aimed at eradicating that virus before it can spread. And they weren't finished. They blocked a defense funding bill, a bill that would support the brave men and women who are right now defending us overseas. What in the world do these people think public service is about? I don't know, but I know this, if Hillary Clinton is our president, nothing will change. So tonight I ask you to continue. Let us continue our work. Let us put justices on the Supreme Court who cherish our Constitution. Let's keep the Senate. And let's elect a president and a vice president who really believe America is exceptional. Thank you, my friends, and God bless America.
James Langford from Oklahoma, David Whitaker from Georgia, Michael Bowers from South Dakota, and Tom Tillis from North Carolina.
Hello, Republicans! I'm Dan Sullivan from the great state of Alaska. And I'm proud to be standing here tonight with my fellow freshman senators. This is who we are, governors and doctors, educators and ministers, CEOs and hog farmers, moms and dads. We have served in the United States Army, in the United States Marines, and now we serve in the United States Senate. In 2014, you made this happen. Republicans all across the country coming together who wanted new energy in the Senate and who wanted to fire Harry Reid. And that's exactly what we did. In 2016, we need to keep that momentum going. We need to keep the Senate in Republican hands and win back the White House. We will put coal miners and oil drillers back to work. Not target them for extinction, as Hillary has promised. We must reignite economic opportunity and the American dream for everybody. And when we do this together, we will make America great again. Thank you.
Please welcome back the Speaker of the House, Paul Ryan of Wisconsin.
Hey, everybody. Hey, thank you all very, very much. On Wisconsin. Yeah. Hey, delegates, friends, fellow citizens. I can't tell you how much I appreciate the privilege of addressing this 41st convention of the Party of Lincoln. And as part of my chairman duties, let me thank all of the people of this beautiful city for looking after us this week. And above all, I want to thank the men and women who are here from law enforcement for your service. You know, standing up here again, it all has kind of a familiar feel. Students of trivia will recall that last time around I was your nominee for vice president. It was a great honor. It was a great honor even if things didn't work out quite according to the plan. Hey, I'm a positive guy. I found some other things to keep me busy. And I like to look at it this way. The next time that there's a State of the Union address, I don't know where Joe Biden or Barack Obama are going to be, but you'll find me right there on the rostrum with Vice President Mike Pence and President Donald Trump. Democracy is a series of choices. We Republicans have made our choice. Have we had our arguments this year? Sure we have. You know what I call those? Signs of life. Signs of a party that's not just going through the motions, not just mouthing new words for the same old stuff. Meanwhile, what choice has the other party made in this incredible year filled with so many surprises? Here we are, at a time when men and women in both parties so clearly, so undeniably want a big change in direction for America, a clean break from a failed system. And what does the Democratic Party establishment offer? What is their idea of a clean break? They are offering a third Obama term brought to you by another Clinton. And you're supposed to be excited about that. For a country so ready for change, it feels like we'd been cleared for takeoff and then somebody announced we're all going back to the gate. It's like we've been on hold forever, waiting and waiting to finally talk to a real person, and somehow we've been sent back to the main menu. Watch the Democratic Party convention next week. That 4-day infomercial of politically correct moralizing. And let it be a reminder of all that is at stake in this election. You can get through 4 days of it with a little help from the mute button. But 4 more years of it? Not a chance. Not a chance. Look, the Obama years are almost over. The Clinton years are way over. 2016 is the year America moves on. From now to November, we will hear how many different ways progressive elitists can find to talk down to the rest of America. To tell the voters that the Obama years have been good for you, that you should be grateful, and well, now it's Hillary's turn. The problem is really simple. The problem here is very simple. There is a reason people in our country are disappointed and restless. If opportunity seems like it's been slipping away, that's because it has. And liberal progressive ideas have done exactly nothing to help. Wages never seem to go up. The whole economy feels stuck. And millions of Americans, middle-class security is now just a memory. Progressives like our president, like to talk forever about poverty in America. And if high-sounding talk did any good, we'd have overcome those deep problems long ago. This explains why, under the most liberal president we have had so far, poverty in America is worse, especially for our fellow citizens who were promised better and who need it most. The result is a record of discarded promises, empty gestures, phony strawman arguments, reforms put off forever, shady power plays like the one that gave us Obamacare, constitutional limits brushed off as nothing, and all the while, dangers in the world downplayed, even as the threats go bolder and come closer. It's the last chapter of an old story. Progressives deliver everything except progress. Yet, we know better than most. We know better than to think that Republicans can win only on the failures of Democrats. It still comes down to a contest of ideas, which is really good news, ladies and gentlemen, because when it's about ideas, the advantage goes to us. Against the dreary backdrop of arrogant bureaucracies, pointless mandates, reckless borrowing, willful retreat from the world, and all that progressives have in store for us, the Republican Party stands as the great enduring alternative party. We believe in making government, as Ronald Reagan said, not the distributor of gifts and privilege, but once again the protector of our liberties. Let the other party go on making its case for more government control over every aspect of our lives, more taxes to pay, more debt to carry, more rules to follow, more judges who just make it up as they go along. We, in this party, we are committed to a federal government that acts again as a servant, accountable to the people, following the Constitution, and venturing not 1 inch beyond the consent of the governed. We in this party offer a better way for our country, based on fundamentals that go back to the founding generation. We believe in a free society, where aspiration and effort can make the difference in every life, where your starting point is not your destiny, and where your first chance is not your only chance. We offer a better way for America with ideas that actually work. A reformed tax code that rewards free enterprise instead of just enterprising lobbyists. A reformed healthcare system that operates by free choice instead of by force and doesn't leave you answering to cold, clueless bureaucrats. A commitment to a renewed commitment to building a 21st century military and giving our veterans the care that they were promised and the care that they earned. and we offer a better way for dealing with persistent poverty in this country. A way that shows poor Americans the world beyond liberal warehousing and check writing, into the life everyone can find with opportunity and independence, the happiness of using your gifts, and the dignity of having a job. And you know what? None of this will happen under Hillary Clinton. Only with Donald Trump and Mike Pence do we have a chance at a better way. And last point. Let the other party go on and on with its constant dividing up of people. Always playing one group against the other, as if group identity were everything. In America, aren't we all supposed to be and see beyond class, see beyond ethnicity, or all these other lines drawn to set us apart and lock us into groups? Real social progress is always a widening of the circle of concern and protection. It's respect and empathy overtaking blindness and indifference. It's understanding that by the true measure, we are all neighbors and countrymen, called each one of us to know what is right and kind and just, and to go and do likewise. Everyone is equal. Everyone has a place. No one is written off, because there is worth and goodness in every life. Straight from the Declaration of Independence, that is the Republican ideal, and if we won't defend it, who will? So much that you and I care about. So many things that we stand for in the balance in this coming election. Whatever we lack going into this campaign, we should not lack for motivation. In the plainest terms I know, it is all on the line. So let's act that way. Let's act that way. Let's use the edge we have, because it is still what earns the trust and the votes. This year of surprises and dramatic turns can end in the finest possible way, when America elects a conservative governing majority. We can do this. We can earn that mandate if we don't hold anything back, if we never lose sight of the stakes, if we never lose sight of what's on the table. Our candidates will be giving their all, they'll be giving their utmost, and every one of us has got to go and do the same. So what do you say? What do you say? What do you say that we unify this party? What do you say that we unify this party at this crucial moment when unity is everything? Let's take our fight to our opponents with better ideas. Let's get on the offensive and let's stay there. Let's compete in every part of America and turn out at the polls like every last vote matters, because it will. Fellow Republicans, what we have begun here, let's see this thing through. Let's win this thing. Let's show America our best and nothing less. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you. I'm proud to be a conservative from California. Now, we have listened, and you have told us enough. Enough of feeling like your government is ignoring you. Enough of Washington bailouts and handouts. Enough of feeling less safe and less secure in a more dangerous world where the bad guys are winning and the good guys are losing. But I have good news. In 112 days, it is over. Now, in this election, the stakes have never been higher.
Do we settle for the path we are on, or do we take a better way? Now, Republicans believe that families who work hard should get ahead. Republicans believe in an America that isn't divided by race, religion, or gender. Republicans believe that America only works if we put your interest above the special interest. But that is not what has happened for the past 8 years. For 8 years, we have had a president who's promised us so much, but delivered so little. The lies we were told about Obamacare, the destruction of jobs and entire industries, the empowerment of Iran and the rise of ISIS. Republicans have a better way. We have a plan to fix it. In our Republican agenda, our enemies will fear us. Our taxes will be fairer. People will be able to afford the health care they want. The people's voice will be heard. Government will help those who truly need it, and it will allow everyone to rise. So to those that are left behind by economic forces out of your control, we hear you. To those who are attacked for your beliefs, we hear you. To a nation that sees chaos spreading across America and across that globe, we hear you. And for our men and women in uniform, we hear you. Now, as a matter of principle, you will have the very best America has to offer. Those who have fought in the front lines should never have to wait in line. There is a better way, but this Republican agenda can only be realized if we disrupt the status quo. And let's admit, Hillary Clinton is the definition of status quo. We need a leader who shapes the future. The Democrats won't bring the future because they are stuck in the past. When innovation has brought more power to the people, Democrats want more power for Washington. When innovation advances technology, Hillary Clinton uses it to put American secrets at risk. This is not the path for our country. In these difficult times, I remember the words of President Ronald Reagan when he described America as that shining city upon the hill. Together, electing a Republican Congress, Donald Trump, Mike Pence, we can build a better America and make that shining city on the hill bright again. Thank you, and God bless America.
Please join me in welcoming from the state of New Jersey, Governor Chris Christie.
Good evening. Good evening. I'm here tonight not only as the governor of New Jersey, but also as Donald Trump's friend for the last 14 years. We are about to be led by not only a strong leader, but by a caring, genuine, and decent person. I'm proud to say that the voice of the people of our nation is being heard in this hall tonight, and those voices want Donald Trump to be the next president of the United States. But everybody, this election is not just about Donald Trump. No, it's also about his Democratic opponent, Hillary Rodham Clinton. Now, in the past few weeks, we've seen the Justice Department refuse to prosecute her. Over the last 8 years, we've seen this administration refuse to hold her accountable for her dismal record as Secretary of State. So let's do something fun tonight. Tonight, as a former federal prosecutor, I welcome the opportunity to hold Hillary Rodham Clinton accountable for her performance and her character. Now, all right, we're getting there. Give me a few more minutes, we'll get there. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to present the facts to you. You, tonight, sitting as a jury of her peers, both in this hall and in your living rooms around our nation. You see, since the Justice Department refuses to allow you to render a verdict, I'm going to present the case now on the facts against Hillary Rodham Clinton. Now, she was America's chief diplomat. So let's look around the world at the violence and the danger today in every region that has been infected by her flawed judgment. But I'm going to be specific so that you can render your verdict tonight on the basis of the facts. Let's go to North Africa. She was the chief engineer of the disastrous overthrow of Gaddafi in Libya. Libya today, after Hillary Clinton's grand strategy, their economy's in ruins, there's death and violence on the streets, and ISIS is now dominating that country. So I'm going to ask you this. Hillary Clinton, as a failure for ruining Libya and creating a nest for terrorist activity by ISIS, answer me now, is she guilty or not guilty? In Nigeria, Hillary Clinton amazingly fought for 2 years to keep an Al-Qaeda affiliate off of the terrorist watch list. Now, what happened because of this reckless action by the candidate who is the self-proclaimed champion of women all around the world? These Al-Qaeda terrorists abducted hundreds of innocent young women 2 years ago. These schoolgirls are still missing today. And what was the solution from the Obama-Clinton team? A hashtag campaign. So now let's figure it out. Let's decide. Hillary Clinton, as an apologist for an Al-Qaeda affiliate in Nigeria, resulting in the capture of innocent young women, is she guilty or not guilty? See, she fights for the wrong people. She never fights for us. She doesn't get the real threats that America faces. So now let's go to China. In China, Hillary Clinton praised the Chinese government for buying our debt to finance Barack Obama's bloated stimulus plan. She was so desperate for Chinese cash, she promised to oppose the Buy American provision in the stimulus bill in exchange for the cash to finance a huge expansion of federal government spending. So, Hillary Clinton, putting big government spending financed by the Chinese ahead of good-paying jobs for middle-class Americans, is she guilty or not guilty? Let's go to Syria. In Syria, imagine this. Imagine this. She called President Assad a reformer. She called Assad a different kind of leader. There's now 400,000 dead. Think about that. 400,000 dead at the hands of the man that Hillary defended. So we must ask this question. Hillary Clinton, as an awful judge of the character of a dictator and butcher in the Middle East, is she guilty or not guilty? Next in Iran, she launched the negotiations that brought about the worst nuclear deal in history. Let me be clear, America and the world are measurably less safe and less respected because of the Iran deal that Hillary helped cut, period. After she launched those negotiations, she became the biggest cheerleader for this agreement in the end. It's a deal that will lead to a nuclear Iran, an Israel that will be less safe and secure, and a much more dangerous Middle East. So let's ask it. Hillary Clinton, as an inept negotiator of the worst nuclear arms deal in American history, is she guilty or not guilty? Next. Next. Oh, believe me, we're not done yet. The indictment is hardly complete. Next, let's go to Russia. She went to the Kremlin on her very first visit and gave them that stupid, symbolic reset button. You know what I think that button should have read? It should have read delete. You know, she's very good at that, by the way. And it should have read delete because she deleted in 4 years the safety and security it took us to build in 40 years. The next year, she said our goal, America's goal, was to strengthen Russia. Strengthen an adversary led by a dictator who dreams of reassembling the old Soviet empire? What an extraordinarily dangerous lack of judgment. So once again, we need to ask, as a flawed evaluator of dictators and failed strategist who has permitted Russia back in as a major player in the Middle East, is Hillary Clinton guilty or not guilty? Now we go to Cuba. Hillary Clinton supported concessions to the Castro brothers and got almost nothing in return for ending the embargo. She supported a deal that didn't even require this murderous regime to return a cop killer, Joanne Chesimard, to face justice. See, I know about this personally. Joanne Chesimard murdered a New Jersey state trooper in cold blood, fled to Cuba, and lives there under Cuban protection to this very day. I want to ask you, how could someone live with their own conscience when you reward a domestic terrorist with continued safety and at the same time betray the family of a fallen police officer waiting for decades for justice for his murder? So let's ask the question. Hillary Clinton, as a coddler of the brutal Castro brothers and betrayer of the family of fallen state trooper Werner Foster and his family, is she guilty or not guilty? Now, finally, here at home, in one of her first decisions as Secretary of State, she set up a private email server in her basement in violation of our national security. Let's face the facts. Hillary Clinton cared more about protecting her own secrets than she cared about protecting America's secrets. And then she lied about it over and over and over again. She said there was no marked classified information on her server. The FBI director said that's untrue. She said that she did not email any classified information. The FBI director says that's untrue. She said all work-related emails were sent back to the State Department. The FBI director said that's not true. So, as to Hillary Clinton, the charge of putting herself ahead of America, guilty or not guilty? I got another question for you. As to Hillary Clinton lying to the American people about her selfish, awful judgment in making our secrets vulnerable, what's your verdict? Guilty or not guilty? Now, time after time, the facts, and just the facts, lead you to the same verdict, both around the world and here at home. In Libya and Nigeria, guilty. In China and Syria, in Iran and Russia and Cuba, and here at home for risking America's secrets to keep her own and lying to cover it all up. Her focus group tested persona with no genuineness to be found is a sham, meant to obscure all the facts and leave you able to vote for her. We cannot promote someone to commander-in-chief who has made the world a more violent and dangerous place with every bad judgment she's made. We cannot make the chief law enforcement officer of the United States someone who has risked America's secrets and lied to the American people about it day after day after day. Here it is, everybody. We didn't disqualify Hillary Clinton to be President of the United States. The facts of her life and career disqualify her. See, I can tell that everybody in this hall agrees with this, but I want to take our last moments here to talk to all of you at home, in your living rooms, sitting there tonight. You're the ones who will decide this election. We have an alternative. We have a man who is unafraid. We have a man who wants to lead us. We have a man who understands the frustrations and the aspirations of our fellow citizens. We have a man who judges people based on their performance, regardless of your gender, your race, your ethnic or religious background. I implore you, we do not need to settle for less in this election. We cannot reward incompetence and deceit. We need to demand more than what Hillary Clinton offers for America. Because see, we know exactly what 4 years of Hillary Clinton will bring. All the failures of the Obama years, but with less charm and more lies. Tonight, those of us in this hall and the people at home, it is our obligation to stop Hillary Clinton now and never let her get within 10 miles of the White House again. It is time to come together and make sure that Donald Trump is the next president of the United States. I am proud to be part of this team. Now let's go out and win this thing together. Let's go get him. Good night.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Tiffany Trump.
Thank you all so much. It's so amazing to be with you tonight and say a few words about my father and your nominee for president. Please excuse me if I'm a little nervous. When I graduated college a couple of months ago, I never expected to be here tonight addressing the nation. I've given a few speeches in front of classrooms of students, but never in an arena with more than 10 million people watching. But, like my father, I never back down from challenges. So here I am, a little new to the convention scene, but incredibly honored and very confident in the good man that America is coming to know. It's often said that with enough effort and determination, you can do whatever you put your mind to. But saying those words and living them are different things, and my father has lived them. It's one of his defining qualities, and I've seen it in action all of my life. Whatever he does, he gives his all and does it well. His desire for excellence is contagious. He possesses a unique gift for bringing that trait out in others, starting with those closest to him. He's always helped me be the best version of myself. By encouragement and by example, he motivates me to work my hardest and to always stay true to who I am and what I believe. That's what he does. He draws out the talent and drive in people so that they can achieve their full potential. That's a great quality to have in a father, and better yet, in the President of the United States. As a recent college graduate, many of my accomplishments are still to come. But my dad takes such pride in all that I've done so far, no matter how big or how small. I still keep all of my report cards, some dating back to kindergarten, because I like to look back and see the sweet notes he wrote on each and every one of them. Contrary to what you might expect from someone who places an emphasis on results, my dad's comments referred often to the sentiments expressed by my teachers about how I acted in and out of the classroom, just not even focusing on the letter grades themselves. Donald Trump has never done anything halfway, least of all as a parent. My father always asked about my family in Georgia to make sure that they are healthy and safe. My uncle served in Vietnam, and my 97-year-old great-grandfather served in World War II. I believe the measure of a person is revealed in their darkest times. For me, the measure of a parent is based on how they support and bolster you when you're down. A few years ago, someone very dear to me passed away, and the first call I got, as I knew I would, came from my father. Without his unwavering support and care for me during such a challenging time, I don't know how I would have made it through. As far too many know, it is the small, loving acts that help an enormous amount in times of grief. My father is good with advice, as you might guess, but he keeps it short, and the takeaway is usually the same: to help us find our own way and our own gifts. If you do what you love, hold nothing back, and never let fear of failure get in the way, then you pretty much figured out the Trump formula. My dad is a natural-born encourager, the last person who will ever tell you to lower your sights or give up your dream. I always look forward to introducing him to my friends, especially the ones with preconceived notions, because they meet a man with natural charm and no facade. In person, my father is so friendly, so considerate, so funny, and so real. My friends walk away with a glimpse of all that he is and all that he means to me, of the strong, protective, kind, endearing man I am so proud to call my father. I never pictured myself saying all of this to a packed arena, but I'm grateful and fortunate for the chance. I have admired my father all of my life, and I love him with all my heart. God bless you, and thank you.
General Manager of Trump Winery.
Good evening. It's such an honor to be here to speak to you about our next President of the United States. Donald Trump is a man of vision. He isn't a wide-eyed dreamer, but someone who sees things that others don't and turns that vision into reality, making life better for people and communities across the nation. I have experienced this firsthand at the Trump Winery and Hotel, which I manage. When Donald Trump purchased the winery in 2011, it was in receivership. Quickly and decisively, he went to work, building the hotel, replanting the vines, and making it a world-class destination and the largest vineyard in Virginia. Today, we employ more than 100 people and support countless other entrepreneurs, contractors, and suppliers throughout the region. We generate millions in revenue and millions more in taxes with a $50 million economic impact that further sustains and strengthens the community in which our employees and I live. The winery's turns have been impressive, with nearly 100% sales growth in just 5 years. I haven't just seen this happen, I've helped make it happen. And I can tell you, it would not have happened without Donald Trump and his family. Let me be clear, this was not easy, and it was not inevitable. It took a team of hardworking, dedicated employees. But it takes more than hard work alone. Our success would not have come to pass without the leadership and the vision of the Trumps. You often hear Donald Trump talk, but what you don't see is when he listens. He and his son Eric listen attentively and ask questions that lead to engaged, informed decisions based on the expert knowledge of those who have earned their trust. That trust is rewarded not just with compensation, but with authority and resources. The Trumps have also given a gift to those who know them, an approach and outlook to life that will always guide me. Because of them, I now think bigger and in ways I didn't think were even possible. Donald Trump has told me that a person's own work ethic and drive are the only limitations to success. I now know this to be true. It isn't just a platitude. At Trump Winery, it is real. And I'll tell you, it is rare. It is accompanied by respect for my accomplishments and the opportunity to grow professionally. That is a direct result of Trump's leadership that we need more today, more than ever in our country. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Donald Trump Jr. Thank you. Thank you. I'm the father of 5 young children, from 2-year-old Chloe to Kai, who just turned 9. I'm the husband to Vanessa, an amazing wife and mother, and the son of a great man. I'm an American, and tonight I want to talk to you about the country we live in, the country our children will grow up in. For my generation, this is the most important election of our lifetime, one that will determine the future of our country, and in turn, the future of the world. For too long, our country has ignored its problems, punting them down the road for future generations to deal with. In business, I was trained by my father to make the tough investments and decisions today to ensure a brighter future tomorrow. We've actually started to believe that solving our great problems is an impossible task. And that's why we need to elect a man who has a track record of accomplishing the impossible. For the first time, parents no longer think that their kids will be as well off as we were. We've lost the confidence in our leaders and the faith in our institutions. But remember one thing, we're still Americans, we're still one country, and we're gonna get it all back. We're gonna get it back better than ever before. I know we'll get it back because I know my father. I know that when people tell him it can't be done, that guarantees that he gets it done. I know that when someone tells him that something is impossible, that's what triggers him into action. When people told him it was impossible for a boy from Queens to go to Manhattan and take on developers in the big city, rather than give up, he changed the skyline of New York. I've seen it time and time again, that look in his eyes when someone says it can't be done. I saw that look a little over a year ago when he was told he couldn't possibly succeed in politics. Yes, he did. For my father, impossible is just the starting point. That's how he approaches business projects. That's how he approaches life. Whether it's teaching his granddaughter how to swing a golf club or tackling the toughest negotiations, he's always fully committed. That's why the person who had never run for office before stood on the stage 11 months ago in this very arena with 16 professional politicians. And this week, that same man will stand before you as our party's nominee for the President of the United States of America. Thank you. As a proud son and family member, it was one of the great honors of my life to be able to put him over the top in the delegate count earlier today. His unrelenting determination is why he's going to become our next president, and why I know that when my father says he can fix the country, he means it. You want to know what kind of president he'll be? Let me tell you how he ran his businesses. And I know, because I was there with him, by his side, on job sites, in conference rooms, from the time I could walk. He didn't hide out behind some desk in an executive suite. He spent his career with regular Americans. He hung out with the guys on construction sites, pouring concrete and hanging sheetrock. He listened to them, and he valued their opinions as much and often more than the guys from Harvard and Wharton, locked away in offices away from the real work. He's recognized the talent and the drive that all Americans have. He's promoted people based on their character, their street smarts, and their work ethic, not simply paper credentials. To this day, many of the top executives in our company are individuals that started out in positions that were blue collar, but he saw something in them and he pushed them to succeed. His true gift as a leader is that he sees the potential in people that they don't even see in themselves. The potential that other executives would overlook because their resumes don't include the names of fancy colleges and degrees. I know he values those workers and those qualities in people because those are the individuals he had my siblings and me work under when we started out. That he would trust his own children's formative years to these men and women says all you need to know about Donald Trump. We didn't learn from MBAs. We learned from people who had doctorates in common sense. Guys like Vinny Stelio, who taught us how to drive heavy equipment, operate tractors and chainsaws, who worked his way through the ranks to become a trusted advisor of my father. It's why we're the only children of billionaires as comfortable in a D10 Caterpillar as we are in our own cars. My father knew that those were the guys and gals that would teach us the dignity of hard work from a very young age. He knows that at the heart of the American dream is the idea that whoever we are, wherever we're from, we can get ahead, where everyone can prosper together. The other party also tells us they believe in the American dream. They say we should worry about economic inequality and immobility. You know what? They're right. But they don't tell you that it was their policies that caused the problem. And it was their policies that have no accountability. They gave us the worst immigration system in the world, one that imports immobility, one that drives down employment and wages for Hispanic Americans, for African Americans, and for everyone. An immigration system that favors illegals over those trying to go through the process legally. And at times, even over law-abiding citizens. It was Bernie Sanders himself who warned that a large tide of new workers keeps wages low and poverty high. The other party gave us public schools that far too often fail our students, especially those who have no options. Growing up, my siblings and I, we were truly fortunate to have choices and options that others don't have. We want all Americans to have those same opportunities. Our schools used to be an elevator to the middle class. Now they're stalled on the ground floor. They're like Soviet-era department stores that are run for the benefit of the clerks and not the customers, for the teachers and the administrators and not the students. You know why other countries do better on K through 12? They let parents choose where to send their own children to school. That's called competition. It's called the free market. And it's what the other party fears. They fear it because they're more concerned about protecting the jobs of tenured teachers than serving the students in desperate need of a good education. They want to run everything top down from Washington. They tell us they're the experts and they know what's best. The other party gave us a regulatory state on steroids. Dodd-Frank was 1,000 pages long, and it's already spun off 22,000 pages in regulations. Imagine trying to digest all that before you even open your doors for business. That doesn't help consumers. What it does is destroy small business in favor of big businesses who can afford the vast number of lawyers and accountants needed to comply. Dodd-Frank is consumer protection for billionaires. We've produced the thickest network of patronage and influence of any country at any time in world history. It's composed of the self-satisfied people at the top, our new aristocrats. We can't live that way any longer. It's too risky. Let me talk a little bit about risks. The other party is the party of risk. I've spent time with many great Americans who have served this country in the military, and they know what's at stake. When we have weak leaders in positions of power, Americans risking their lives for our freedoms are less safe. You know, almost daily I get a call or a text from a real American hero. His name's Mark Geist, and I'm proud to call him a friend. Mark was part of the security team at the annex on our grounds of the consulate in Benghazi. Mark was one of the men who received frantic phone calls from his buddies at the compound, calls that pleaded for help, calls that he and his team tried to answer, but calls that didn't save all his friends, because Secretary Clinton's State Department had ignored their requests for help, both on the night in question and even in the weeks and months leading up to the attack. It was a tragedy, and one that would be repeated were she to win the election. Ask Mark who's fit to lead, who has the judgment to lead, who will take that call at 3 o'clock in the morning yet? You know, or better yet, ask yourselves, if you were in Mark's shoes that night, who would you rather call? Let me tell you something about risk. If Hillary Clinton were elected, she'd be the first president who couldn't pass a basic background check. It's incredible. Hillary Clinton is a risk Americans can't afford to take. She says she'll issue executive orders to take away Americans' guns. She wants to appoint judges who will abolish the Second Amendment. Yeah. Just look at how effective those laws have been in inner-city Chicago, a city with the toughest gun laws in our nation, where 70 people were murdered last month alone, and where over 3,400 American lives have been lost since this administration took office in 2009. You know why those laws fail? Because criminals, by definition, don't follow laws. Rather than prosecuting real criminals, she would strip hard-working, law-abiding citizens of their rights to protect themselves and their families. She'll throw every possible obstacle in the path of safe, reliable, affordable energy produced in America, by Americans, for American businesses and families. Rather than being energy independent, our country will be forced to remain beholden to her buddies in the Middle East. Those are risks we can't afford to take. And when we win, we're not going to have to. There's so much work to do. We will not accept the current state of our country because it's too hard to change. That's not the America I know. We're going to unleash the creative spirit and energy of all Americans. We're going to make our schools the best in the world for every single American of every single ethnicity and background. We're going to put Americans first, all Americans, not a special class of crony elites at the top of the heap. We're going to elect a president who will work with everyone to pass legislation that will make our country great again. A president who will give us a tax code that will free the American economy and end special loopholes for the wealthy. A president who will give us an immigration law that protects American citizens and gives them jobs. A president who will repeal and replace Obamacare without leaving our most vulnerable citizens without health care, and who will do it without destroying Medicare for seniors, as Hillary Clinton has proposed. A president who knows we can't simply delete our problems, but that we have to tackle them head on. A president who won't allow PC culture to put the safety and well-being of our children and our loved ones at stake. A president who won't bow and pander to nations that shudder at the very thought of America's existence. A president more concerned with the safety and comfort of his fellow Americans than the feelings of those hostile nations abroad who, if given the option, would wipe America off the face of this earth. A president not beholden to special interests, foreign and domestic, and one who funded his entire primary run out of his own pocket just to prove it. A president who will secure and defend the borders of the United States and who will appoint judges who believe that freedom requires a limited government. A president who won't use the highest office in the land as a path to personal enrichment. A president who's actually created real jobs, who has actually signed the front of a paycheck, and who doesn't just talk about it in theory. A president who has real people's families and livelihoods dependent on his success and the success of his company for decades. A president who speaks his mind, and not just when it behooves him to do so, who doesn't have to run a focus group or use data analytics to be able to form a simple opinion, who says what needs to be said and not just what you want to hear. A president who will unleash the greatness in our nation and in all of us, who will give the hardworking men and women who built this great country a voice once again. That president can only be my mentor, my best friend, and my father, Donald Trump. And when we elect him, we'll have done all that. We'll have made America great again, greater than ever before. Thank you, and God bless.
Please welcome the Senator from West Virginia, Shelley Moore Capito.
Good evening. Let me start out with a question. Are there any Mountaineers in the audience tonight? I'm Shelley Moore Capito, the first woman ever elected to serve the state of West Virginia in the United States Senate. Ladies and gentlemen, we face challenging times, times in which we as leaders must ask, how can we secure a future that's brighter for our next generation? That's always the challenge of leadership, and this election is no different. But with every challenge comes great opportunity, and that opportunity is what I would like to speak to you about tonight. Let me first tell you where I come from, the Mountain State. I'm a lifelong West Virginian, and with our tight-knit communities, I always say, our state is just one big, small town. That's never been more evident than in the past month as West Virginia was ravished by flooding that upended our communities, displaced our families, and claimed 23 lives. As I traveled the flood zones, I was inspired by people who, despite losing everything, sought ways to help and serve others. The stories are so tragic, yet so uplifting, and I am so proud of my state. In their jobs and communities, West Virginians work hard every day and deliver results. And in turn, they expect our country's leaders to do the same. The constant refrain I hear back home is, stop the bickering, improve the economy, and fight for our jobs. And let me tell you something, they're right. The greatest obstacle for West Virginia families and families across America over the past 8 years has been a president that places left-wing priorities and campaign promises over their livelihoods. President Obama has hurt the heart and soul of my state, our proud coal miners in the communities where they live and work and pursue their happiness. His policies have ripped through the heartland, creating a cycle of pessimism and disgust. People around the country feel the Obama administration has kicked them to the curb with a callousness that's damaged their ability to trust and respect government. In 2008, President Obama famously said, if someone wants to build a coal-powered plant, they can. It's just that it will bankrupt them. Well, 8 years later, it's safe to say his actions have matched his words. But he's never realized that when you bankrupt a coal company, you deprive communities of their livelihood. His recklessness has cost more than 60,000 coal workers their jobs since 2011. That's 60,000 families that are now without work, without a paycheck, and without many options. Well, not to be outdone, Hillary Clinton has already promised to put a lot of coal miners and coal companies out of business. She wants to put 1,000 more Americans out of work. She has promised to devastate communities and families across coal country. When I think about Hillary Clinton's pursuit of an anti-coal agenda, you know what I think about? I think about that miner who wakes up before dawn every day to go to a 10-hour shift. I think about that bus driver who drives the miners' children to school. I think about the nurse who cares for our retired miners. And I think about the hundreds of coal equipment distributors. I weep for the fabric of my state. I weep for the fabric of my state. These men and women take pride in their highly skilled and good-paying jobs that provide for their families and support their communities. They work tirelessly to power America. West Virginia workers are the backbone of this economy. And Hillary Clinton is promising to put them out of work? Now, we shouldn't be surprised by this, because Hillary Clinton understands coal miners and blue-collar workers about as well as she understands secure email. A day in the life of a coal miner and a day in the life of Hillary Clinton could not be more different. For over 25 years, she's thrived in a world where the rules bend to her. Recently, we learned she showed extreme carelessness with our nation's secrets. For others, the consequences of misusing classified information have been swift and serious, but not for Hillary Clinton. Since the end of her husband's administration, she's profited from closed-door speeches with fees that would buy several houses in the state of West Virginia. Not only is she out of touch, her attempts to reach out to the American people often reveal how distorted her vision has become. But what I find most troubling is that Hillary Clinton fails to recognize that her calculated policies affect real people. Those who want to feed their families, own homes, pay for college, pursue the American dream. These goals should not and cannot fall out of reach. You may remember when President Obama arrogantly proclaimed that he would slow the rise of the oceans and heal our planet. So what did he do? He introduced and implemented sweeping environmental regulations without Congress's approval and without any consideration for the economy. These unilateral actions are ill-informed and, quite frankly, unconstitutional. Right now, the burden of government regulations in this country amounts to $15,000 a household. So let me ask you a question, a couple questions. Are you ready? All right. Is burdening every household in America with a cost of $15,000 worth more applause lines at campaign rallies? Is burdening every household in America with a cost of $15,000 worth more campaign cash? Is burdening every household in America with a cost of $15,000 worth a few more one-liners? Well, I couldn't agree with you more. And I'm sure you agree with me about the importance of this election. One of the reasons this election is so important is because the Democrats have nominated a candidate that Americans overwhelmingly distrust. You know what? She's earned this reputation. Her term at the State Department was shrouded in scandal and mistrust. Just a few weeks ago, FBI Director said that Secretary Clinton was negligent. He questioned her judgment and revealed countless ways she has misled the American people. We know that the cornerstone of our global leadership is not just our awesome military, it's not just our economic power, but it's our credibility. She has squandered Americans' trust. And thankfully, the latest misdeed hasn't slipped past the attention of the American people. Recent polls show that voters' distrust of Hillary was deteriorating her support. So it does come down to trust. She can't be trusted with classified information or trusted to play by the same rules that you and I play by. And without trust, we cannot feel safe and we cannot thrive. No one who has lost the trust of the American people should ever serve as our president. The only thing we can trust Hillary to do is to double down on the same failed Obama policies that are hurting Americans that I just described. We know she will double down on an economic agenda that's led to the lowest workforce participation in decades. We know that she will double down on the war on coal. We know that she will double down on Obamacare. We know that she will double down on far-left Supreme Court nominees. We know that she will double down on the catastrophic foreign policy that she herself has orchestrated. That are disconnected from the realities of working Americans. Let's turn the tide from an executive who promotes a radical environmental agenda that raises the costs across this country. Let's turn the tide from a Washington that tells us who our doctors are and delivers a lower quality of care. Let's turn the tide to a government that respects the Constitution and protects jobs and the way of life of rural America. This is not out of reach. We can make these visions a reality. This week, we'll officially nominate a candidate who received the most The American people know that Hillary Clinton has forfeited her trust and has broken her bond with working Americans. So let's commit tonight to bringing our country together in the months ahead. The stakes are both clear and high. Take this energy from this convention back to your state, back to your home, and work to elect Donald Trump, who will make America great again. Thank you.
Please
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Don't eat up my time. Thank you. I want to thank you all for that very warm welcome. I have to start out by saying one very important thing. I'm not politically correct. And I hate political correctness because it's antithetical to the founding principles of this country. And the secular progressives use it to make people sit down and shut up while they change everything. It's time for us to stand up and shout out about what we believe in. You know, I devoted my career to studying and operating on the human brain. This remarkable organ defines our humanity. It gives us the ability to not only feel and observe, but to reason. When we elect a president, we need to use that power of reasoning to look at their history, their character, what kind of people they really are. It makes all the difference in the world for us. And it is going to be so critical right now. We must resist the temptation to take the easy way out and to passively accept what is fed to us by the politically elite and the media, because they don't know what they're talking about, but they have an agenda. Now, we must also be weary of the narrative that's being advanced by some in our own party. The notion that a Hillary Clinton administration wouldn't be that bad, the effects would only be temporary. You know, that it would only last for 4 and at most 8 years. They're not using their God-given brain to think about what they're saying, because it won't be 4 or 8 years, because she will be appointing people who will have an effect on us for generations, and America may never recover from that. That's what we have to be thinking about. You know, interestingly enough, we have to start thinking about what would Hillary Clinton do if she was in fact the president. She would appoint Supreme Court justices, she would appoint federal judges, and that would have a deleterious effect on what happens for generations to come. Not only that, but she would continue with a system that denigrates the education of our young people, puts them in a place where they're never going to be able to get a job, where they're always going to be dependent, and where they can therefore be cultivated for their votes. This is not what America is all about, this kind of deception. And this is what we, the people, have the necessary obligation to fight. Now, one of the things that I have learned about Hillary Clinton is that one of her heroes, her mentors, was Saul Alinsky. And her senior thesis was about Saul Alinsky. This was someone that she greatly admired and that affected all of her philosophies subsequently. Now, interestingly enough, let me tell you something about Saul Alinsky. He wrote a book called Rules for Radicals. On the dedication page, it acknowledges Lucifer, the original radical who gained his own kingdom. Now, think about that. This is a nation where our founding document, the Declaration of Independence, talks about certain inalienable rights that come from our Creator. This is a nation where our Pledge of Allegiance says we are one nation under God. This is a nation. This is a nation where every coin in our pocket and every bill in our wallet says, "In God we trust." So are we willing to elect someone as president who has as their role model somebody who acknowledges Lucifer? Think about that. The secular progressive agenda is antithetical to the principles of the founding of this nation. And if we continue to allow them to take God out of our lives, God will remove himself from us. We will not be blessed, and our nation will go down the tubes. And we will be responsible for that. We don't want that to happen. Now, Donald Trump, he understands this very well. He understands that the blessings of this nation come with the responsibility to ensure that they are available to all, not just the privileged few. This is exemplified by his willingness to take on the establishment against all odds. It is evident in his passion for the American worker. It is found in his desire to put his considerable skills to work on behalf of American interests, not his self-interest. I'm proud to support Donald Trump, an extraordinary businessman, the right leader for a time such as this. But you know what? It is not about Donald Trump. It is not about me. It is about we, the people. And Thomas Jefferson said that we would reach this point because we, the people, would not be paying attention, and it would allow the government to grow, to expand, and to metastasize, and to try to rule us. But he said, before we turn into something else, we, the people, would recognize what was going on, what we were about to lose, and we would rise up and we would take control of our nation. And I say now is the time for us to rise up and take America back.
Good evening. Many of you know me from one of your favorite soap operas, The Young and the Restless, The Bold and the Beautiful. and many other television shows and films. You know, but since we only have one life to live, yes, I did have to throw that in there, I decided to follow other dreams. I'm now an avocado grower for all of you guacamole lovers. Yes, California avocados. I also run and operate my own design business. And with my husband, Gary, we just celebrated our 25th wedding anniversary. Gary and I are partners running a sport fishing business, retail operations, rental operations, and assorted other enterprises. Like millions of women across our nation, I have many responsibilities. And because we women have many roles in our lives, I'm offended when the media and the Democrats typecast us as single-issue voters. We take care of our families, work inside and outside the home, pay the bills, we manage the costs at home, take care of our parents, all focused on one thing: securing the future for our families. Like so many parents today, you know, I have great concerns about the direction of our country and what it means for the future of my children. And I cannot let this election pass by without doing my part and helping get us back on the right track. That's why I am so grateful and honored to be here with you all tonight. You know, when I look back at my grandparents, my mom and dad, I realize that so much of their lives were devoted to one goal: helping me, my sister Tammy, my brother Chris, have every opportunity to succeed. I was always told by my grandmother I could do anything I put my mind to, and I did. I worked very hard. We've started businesses that have succeeded and still do, and we've had ventures that have not. We have created jobs and even more tax dollars. We have worked 80-hour weeks and have gone without paychecks to keep our employees paid. You know, this isn't unique to Gary and me. It is the story of every small business owner in America. I'm a member of California's Business Women for Trump. And we are comprised of farmers, doctors, small business owners, attorneys, and women in just about every field, profession, race, and ethnicity. Women for Trump. And we're concerned about out of control, unreasonable government regulations that needlessly add costs to doing business and tie us all up in red tape. And don't get me started about the bewildering tax code and high taxes to boot. You know, this isn't true just for small businesses, but for farming as well. This past week, our business is confronting a problem caused by Obamacare. Yeah, that's a shock, isn't it? And as a small business, we used to offer medical insurance to our employees. And for those who chose to be covered, we paid most of their premiums. And this quarter, we had several employees work over the 30-hour threshold set by Obamacare. And by the requirements of law, they must now sign up for one of the approved health care plans. And our younger employees, they don't understand why they're getting forced off of their previous plan, which was significantly more affordable and tailored to their needs. Most of our employees are college age and they're very healthy, yet they're required to buy coverage that does not meet their needs and is too expensive for their wallets. One good thing, it's been a wake-up call to all of our young employees, and they are all voting Republican this year. You know, one-third of small businesses are owned by women. And to the 9.4 million women business owners who employ about 8 million workers, a value of about $1.5 trillion to our economy, I urge you to think about how important this election is for your future. Who do you think better understands your challenges and will stand with you fighting for a better economy and more opportunities? A career Washington insider who only knows how to use your tax dollars for more government jobs? And incidentally, ladies, in both then Senator Clinton's office and the Clinton Foundation, men have been paid better than women. Or a successful businessman who knows how to make a payroll, who understands the special challenges women business owners face, such as gaining access to needed capital, and who has an admirable record of hiring and promoting women in his businesses. You know, for a moment, I'd like to touch on an issue that Donald had spoken about from the beginning of his campaign: trade. As an actress and a farmer, boy, did you ever think those two would be in the same sentence, huh? Yeah. I've seen firsthand the impact of high taxes, over-regulation, and suspect trade deals. I have seen TV and movie productions move out of the country. If you were an A-lister like Leonardo DiCaprio or an owner of a studio producer, you were okay. But if you were a cameraman, a sound tech, a boom operator, or did any of the many jobs in production, you were just out of luck. And at the time, it didn't affect me. And I didn't understand what my local union boys were talking about. And now I do. And I'm sorry for not understanding the plight of these men and women who lost their livelihoods. And they did. And as an avocado grower, I face the impact of our trade policies. I've seen firsthand our domestic market flooded with imports that harmed local farmers and even drove some out of business. My neighbors who have raised this product for years are being forced to cut down their groves. I'll leave the decisions about trade policies and how you balance the many economic interests of our nation to others, but this much I do know. Donald Trump raised concerns on behalf of working people before the Washington elites did. He will make trade deals that benefit working men and women and their families right here in America. There's going to be a time, and I hope soon, for a woman president. And we have so many outstanding women in Congress and in our state and local governments who are ready for the job now or in the very near future. But let's be clear. The Democrats offer up a woman who, when she had a chance to stand up for women, did not do so. Instead, she attacked women, denigrated them, called them liars. And I personally know victims, and they find Hillary's actions and remarks repulsive. Her comments are comments of convenience only. And if we are to prosper as a nation, if we are going to grow the economy and create jobs, we need a leader who will go to Washington and shake things up. A president who will bring common sense regulations and eliminate unnecessary ones, who will fix our tax system, who will start us on the path to rebuild our infrastructure. We need someone who knows how to build things, who knows how to create jobs, and who knows how to negotiate. He's going to tackle problems head on, ladies and gentlemen, so we can have true progress. You know, since it was announced that I was speaking to you all tonight, I have been attacked in social media with all kinds of outrageous insults, none of which are even remotely true. The left wants to silence those they disagree with. In politics, on college campuses, and in business. This must stop, and I will not stand by idly. It is time we stood up for ourselves, for Donald Trump, and for our country. Donald is the most qualified man in America to turn things around in Washington and in our nation. So I ask you to join me and California's businesswomen for Trump in supporting America's best opportunity to return to greatness. Donald Trump, the next president of the United States. Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
Please welcome the founder of American Muslims for Trump, Sajid Tarar.
Oh my God, so much energy. I can smell the success in the air. I feel the change. I see the spirit. And let's pray. Let's take some time. Let's pray for a strong America, for a safe America, and let's ask God to make us strong to fight terrorism all over the world. Join me in prayer. Oh God, our nation is in need of new leader, a commander who will guide America along a path of righteousness. We as Americans are ready for real hope, a change, and as for a tenacious leader who will be able to motivate this, the qualities of this leader must reflect the qualities required to uplift Americans and truly make America great again. Amen. Thank you. As Americans, it is our obligation to elect a leader who will guide us with justice, equality, and most importantly, integrity. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said that we all have a piece of flesh in our bodies. If it is good, our whole is good. And if it's not, then the whole body is spoiled. It was written in Bukhari. From this, we can infer the role of our leader as a representative of United States of America. The values reflected by our leader must reflect the values that our forefathers set in stone at inception. We can only pray for such a leader in hopes that greatness will soon follow. And once again, God bless America, God bless you, God bless Donald Trump, and let's pray to get our country back. And God bless once again to all of you. Thank you so much.
Please welcome back Chairman Reince Priebus.
All right, the chairman recognizes a delegate from Illinois for the purpose of offering a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I am Janice Richamonte from the great state of Illinois, the state of Lincoln, and the great state where Ronald Reagan came from. The great state of Illinois moves that the convention to now adjourn.
Thank you. The question now occurs on the motion to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Accordingly, the convention stands adjourned until 7:30 tomorrow p.m. Thank you.